They won't break you with open war. They'll break you with whispers, with delays that look like patience, with distractions that feel like entertainment, with betrayals dressed in kindness and silence that echoes when you needed support the most. They won't strike. They'll pull. They'll unravel you thread by thread until you're standing in pieces, wondering where it all went wrong. And the truth? You'll let them until you finally decide that the version of you they could reach no longer exists. To become unbreakable, you must bury the hope that someone will come to rescue you. Kill the fantasy. No one is coming, not the friends who clap when it's easy, not the family who means well but doesn't understand your path, not the world which only respects two things: power and results, not pain, not excuses. You don't earn respect by breaking. You earn it by refusing to. You don't become unbreakable by screaming. You become unbreakable by bleeding in silence, by walking while exhausted, by standing still in a storm that's meant to crush people like you. Because Machiavelli didn't believe in pity. He believed in force, in control, in outcomes. He knew that the man who is silent, unreadable, and cold cannot be manipulated. That's real strength. That's how you become untouchable. And once they see they can't control you, once they realize you've turned pain into precision, they regret ever thinking you were soft. This isn't about motivation. This is about transformation. This is about burning the blueprint and building yourself again, this time with steel. No one is born unbreakable. You're born soft, hopeful, needy. But the world doesn't reward the hopeful. It devours them. That innocent version of you, that's the first one to die. And you'll mourn it until you understand it had to die. Not to weaken you, but to release you. You don't need more inspiration. You need a funeral. A funeral for the version of you that hesitates, that reacts, that forgives too quickly, that waits for permission. That version is the crack in your armor. That version folds under pressure. That version clings to emotion and chases validation. If you want to be unbreakable, you must kill the part of you that made you fragile. The first enemy isn't the world. It's the whisper inside your mind that tells you it's okay, you've done enough. Kill that voice, because that voice is soft. It wants comfort. It wants applause before the victory. It wants rest without earning it. And that's what keeps you small. Machiavelli understood what most men never will, that to rule, to rise, to dominate, you must separate your emotions from your execution. You must perform even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. That's the test. Everyone wants to be strong until strength demands they become someone else, because the version of you chasing comfort cannot carry the weight of power. That version is addicted to being liked, being seen, being praised. But here's the truth. You cannot be liked and feared at the same time. And only fear commands respect when everything else falls apart. You must choose. You either become palatable or powerful, but never both. So what must you do? You silence the urge to explain yourself. You kill the instinct to be understood. You erase the hope that someone will save you. No one will. They may care. They may even love you. But love does not stop storms. Only discipline does. Only detachment, strategy, and solitude forge the armor you need. And they are built alone, quietly, with a kind of ruthlessness that makes the crowd uncomfortable. If you want to be unbreakable, prepare to be boring to the weak, but terrifying to the unaware. You don't chase drama, you disappear from it. You don't respond to disrespect. You outgrow the need to notice it. You don't prove yourself, you just keep showing up when they thought you'd collapse. You keep enduring when they predicted you'd fall. And every time they expect you to crack, you give them silence. Every time they bait you for a reaction, you give them absence. They beg for your weakness, and you hand them nothing. Each day you wake up and kill the version of you that hesitates. Because hesitation is weakness. Emotion is leverage. For them, not for you. Kindness, when not deployed strategically, is currency for the poor. You must become intentional. Every step must have purpose. Every word you speak must carry weight. Every move must be quiet. They shouldn't even know what phase you're in. You're not in recovery. You're in transformation. And they don't get a front row seat to that. Let them mock you while you suffer. Let them talk while you train. Let them laugh while you disappear. Because when you return, you won't just be different, you'll be unrecognizable. That's the goal. To be forgotten while building, and feared when finished. To become unbreakable isn't a mindset. It's a war. A war against your old identity. Against comfort. Against the world's demand that you stay soft and small. You can't keep who you were and become who you're meant to be. One must die. Be ruthless. Be silent. Be gone until they whisper, "Where did he go?" and tremble when they see what you became. The strongest moves are made in silence. You want to be unbreakable? Then stop broadcasting your battle. Stop documenting your process. Stop needing to be seen while you evolve. True transformation is invisible. True power grows in obscurity. Machiavelli knew that what thrives in the spotlight burns out. What thrives in shadows survives. While they scroll, you train. While they speak, you study. While they rest, you suffer with purpose. And yes, they'll laugh. They'll mock you. Because they don't see the results yet. Let them. Because you're not building for applause. You're not building for validation. You're building for control. And the moment you remove your presence, your updates, your performance, you rob them of access. They can't measure your progress. They can't sabotage your climb. They can't prepare for your return. Because your silence becomes your shield. Your absence becomes your leverage. And while they believe nothing is happening, everything is. Most people fail because they want the reward before the pain. They want support before they've earned it. They want recognition during the process. But recognition softens you. Applause makes you pause. Support becomes a leash if you rely on it. Cut the leash. Move in darkness. Build in silence so profound that your return feels like an ambush. Let them forget you. Let them doubt you. Let them whisper behind your back. Because when you rise, they won't recognize what you've become. That's the goal. You are not supposed to be understood mid-transformation. You are supposed to be invisible. Because invisibility is power. They cannot defend against what they don't see. They cannot compete with what they didn't know existed. They cannot prepare for what they underestimated. And when you emerge, calm, unshakable, sharpened by solitude, you don't need to explain. You don't need to announce. You just appear. And everything changes. Get addicted to isolation, not because you hate the world, but because you're building something it could never comprehend. Let them think you vanished. Let them believe you gave up. Let them assume they were right. That's the trap. While they laugh, you evolve. While they mock, you mold. While they celebrate your silence, you're forging the version of yourself they'll one day wish they supported. But by then, you'll be too far gone to turn back. You don't return with a thank you. You return with results. And results don't ask for recognition. They demand it. That's the revenge. Not revenge born of bitterness, but of presence. Calm, cold, focused. Untouchable. You don't need to explain your absence. You let your discipline speak. You let your growth say what words never could. You become the embodiment of what they doubted, and what they now fear. Because real strength doesn't announce itself. It doesn't crave witnesses. It builds itself in silence. And when it finally steps into the light, it doesn't need to roar. Its presence shakes the room. Its stillness terrifies. But you only reach that place through control, not over the world, but over yourself. You can have all the intelligence, drive, and talent, but if you cannot control your emotions, you are fragile, easily provoked, easily manipulated, easily broken. That makes you prey. Machiavelli understood this. He knew emotion is a weapon, but only when wielded strategically. Uncontrolled emotion is a leash, a trigger that others use to puppeteer your behavior. They poke you and you explode. They flatter you and you fold. They reject you and you collapse. You dance to their tune and wonder why you're never in control. You want to be unbreakable? Then learn this. Emotional silence is power, not just externally, but within. Your mind must become a battlefield where no noise survives, no panic, no mental clutter, because when you are calm, you control the pace. When you are still, you control the space. When you don't react, they run in circles trying to reach you. And you win without lifting a finger. Most people are exposed wires, short-fused, volatile, desperate to be understood. They snap at disrespect, crumble under pressure, drown in the sting of rejection. They think their emotions are valid. But validation is not power. Power is the ability to move forward regardless of how you feel. Do you think kings cry in public? You think leaders explain every frustration? You think wolves share their hunger with sheep? No. They move in silence. Because the moment you expose what drives you, you give the world the key to manipulate you. You lose control and wonder why you're always at the mercy of others. Control starts with this: observe more, react less. When someone lies, observe. When someone disrespects you, observe. When someone tries to provoke, observe. Don't react. Don't explain. Don't explode. Your silence becomes confusion. Your stillness becomes a threat. Because nothing unnerves people more than a man who refuses to be moved. They throw fire, and you stay cold. They bait you, and you don't bite. They scream, and you don't flinch. That's power, not just in relationships, but in life. When tragedy strikes, you remain clear. When failure comes, you stay composed. When success tempts you, you stay grounded. Because nothing external can shake what you've anchored within. And no, that doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you've trained your feelings. You've built a system. You've divorced yourself from emotional impulse. You don't scream, you plan. You don't beg, you calculate. You don't chase, you observe. You become unreadable. And unreadable is unbreakable. That's how the greatest minds moved. Never loud, never desperate, always exact, always strategic. They weren't cold by nature, they were cold by choice. Because power doesn't tolerate leaks, and emotion is the first place it spills from. Machiavelli said it best. A wise man should appear merciful, faithful, humane, sincere, and religious, but be ready to act otherwise when necessary. In other words, wear the mask, play the role, but don't become the role. You're not your feelings, you're not your urges, you're not your moods. You are the commander of them all. And once you understand that, you are no longer vulnerable to approval, rejection, praise, or shame. Look around. Most people are prisoners to their own emotional climate. One insult ruins their day. One mistake shatters their momentum. One loss and they crumble. They've built their lives on sand. They think strength is in expression. But power? Power is in control, and control is a lonely road. because it requires what few are willing to give up: their dependency on others, their expectation of loyalty, their fear of abandonment. But if you want to be unbreakable, you must face one brutal truth: loyalty is temporary. Most people aren't loyal to you. They're loyal to their need of you. And when that need changes, so does their loyalty. The sooner you accept this, the more unstoppable you become. You can pour your heart into people and they'll still walk away. You can give them everything and they'll still betray you. You can love them deeply and they'll still leave when it's inconvenient. That's not cynicism. That's liberation. You must stop depending on others. You must become your own structure, your own source, your own savior. Because the world does not punish the weak. It forgets them. People will clap when you win, but they will also smile when you fall, not out of hatred, but envy. Quiet envy, because deep down, they know they wouldn't have survived what you endured, so they mock what they don't understand. They withdraw when you rise. They ghost you when you struggle. Let them. It's better to walk alone than carry dead weight, because unbreakable men are not created in crowds. They are forged in abandonment, in the echo of betrayal, in the silence after the crowd disappears. There's a moment, and you'll know when it comes, where everything around you goes quiet. The noise dies, the voices fade, and you are left with one thing: your will. That is the real turning point. When you stop looking outward for strength and turn inward. When you stop hoping someone will save you and start becoming someone who doesn't need saving. Because the fewer people you depend on, the stronger you become. Independence is your insurance against betrayal. So don't be shocked when people leave. Don't be shattered when they change. Expect it. Prepare for it. Build around it. And when it happens, you won't fall. You won't even flinch. Because now you expect nothing. You move with clarity, with structure, with a vision so personal no one else needs to understand it. And no, it's not about hate. You don't need to hate them. You simply outgrow the illusion that anyone will ever value your mission more than you do. Most people won't bleed with you when you're down. Most won't carry you when you're broken. Most won't risk comfort for your vision. And that's not a tragedy. That's freedom. Because now you know the only loyalty you need is to the war you were born to win. You don't win that war by hoping others stand beside you. You win by becoming strong enough to finish it alone. Let them leave. Let them lie. Let them shift, fade, and betray. You will remain. Because you weren't built for applause, you were built to endure. You don't need a crowd to keep going. You don't need a team to stand tall. You were not designed to be surrounded. You were designed to be solid. So you train yourself to operate alone, to work when no one's clapping, to rise when no one's watching, to push forward when no one believes. That's where power is forged, not in celebration, but in solitude. Real strength lives in the shadows, of betrayal, of discipline, of silence. No one owes you anything, and you don't need them to, because when it all falls away, and it will, you will still be standing, sharper, colder, harder than ever. If you truly want to be unbreakable, you must embrace the final law. You have to be willing to walk alone. Not for a season, not until they notice, not until someone joins you. Alone. Forever, if that's what it takes. Because the most dangerous man in the world is not the one surrounded by many. It's the one who needs no one. Machiavelli understood the cold truth of sovereignty. He knew that those who rise high must first detach, not out of arrogance, but out of necessity. To walk alone is not a punishment. It's a purification. It burns off weakness. It silences distractions. It leaves only you and the truth. When there's no one clapping, no one calling, no one watching, that's when you find out who you are. That's where most people crumble. They need validation. They need support. They need someone to say, "Keep going." But not you. You become colder. You become sharper. You turn the fear of being alone into the fuel for your next level, because when you walk alone long enough, something shifts. Your self-worth becomes internal. Your voice becomes steady. You stop asking for permission. You stop chasing approval. You stop explaining yourself to people who never even tried to understand you. And that's when you cross into a realm most people will never reach. They think strength is noise. They think power is popularity. They think leadership is social. But you've learned what most never will. True respect comes from distance, from the aura of someone who moves without asking, from the quiet authority of someone who doesn't need a single soul to feel whole. And that's why they fear you, because they can't read you. They can't guilt you. They can't control you. They attach themselves to people they think they can shape. But when you're truly alone, by choice, you become a mystery. And mystery is power. When they don't know where you are, what you feel, or who you trust, they step carefully. You become unpredictable. You become untouchable. But there's a price. This path will cost you. It will cost you relationships. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you fake friends and temporary peace. But what you gain is worth everything. You gain clarity. You gain focus. You gain a strength that no one can hand you, and no one can take away. You'll come to understand that walking alone doesn't mean you're lost. It means you're walking a path no one else has the strength to follow. Let them call you cold. Let them say you've changed. Let them whisper you're distant. They don't get it. You didn't leave them. You outgrew the need to be understood by people who will never build what you're building. The soft need company. The fragile need constant comfort. But the one who becomes unbreakable, he moves alone. Not because he's unloved, but because he chooses solitude over weakness. Even when no one claps, even when no one sees, even when no one follows. Because the man who walks alone builds what others fear. A mind that no one can access, a focus that no one can shake, a strength that no one gave him, and no one can remove. So keep walking. Walk when they doubt you. Walk when they mock you. Walk when they forget you. Walk when it hurts. Walk when you're exhausted. Walk when there's nothing left but your breath and your vision. Because the man who continues walking in silence becomes a force the world never saw coming. And one day, the same people who laughed, who walked away, who whispered that you failed, they'll ask how you did it. They'll stare at your presence, unable to comprehend the transformation. But you won't answer. You won't explain. You won't justify the suffering, the silence, the solitude. You'll just keep walking, unbothered, unreadable, unbreakable. That's how power moves, not loud, not desperate, just forward, always forward. You became what they were never willing to become. You endured what they ran from. You embraced what they couldn't face. And now you're sovereign. Now you're free. Now you're something they cannot label, cannot follow, cannot stop. If you've truly walked this path, if you're finished begging, explaining, waiting, then disappear. Don't announce it. Don't hint at it. Just vanish. Go build. Go bleed in silence. Go suffer with discipline. And when you return unrecognizable. Not because you want to be praised, but because your evolution left them behind. And now, your life is a fortress, your mind is a weapon, and your future belongs to no one but you. Because the world was never meant to recognize your potential. It was meant to fear your arrival. And when you finally step into what you've built, You won't need a crown. You won't need a stage. You won't need permission. You will already be king. The world does not belong to the loud. It belongs to the ones who never stopped walking.